Hello, Trailblazers. Welcome to the Trailblazers Palette Podcast. I'm your host, Sancha Marshall, and today we explore the many layers of wellness, self-love, and creative vitality with a guest whose journey is truly inspiring. I'm joined by Kim Morrison, author, coach, aromatherapist, and founder of 28 Essentials. She's a world record-holding ultramarathon runner and pioneer in holistic wellness. Kim is a woman who has built a life and business around ritual, resilience, and realness. In this conversation, Kim opens up about her story from a challenging childhood to representing Australia on the world stage. She shares her journey in creating her own bespoke aromatherapy brand rooted in self-care and soul. We talk about the power of movement, why vitality matters for creativity, and how to stay grounded when life feels overwhelming. Kim's presence is a reminder for us all to show up fully, love ourselves fiercely, and create with intention. Now, Kim, I know you quite well. You know, we've had time together in the past, but I wanted to share you and your amazingness with our listeners today. So thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Such a pleasure to be here, sweetheart.
So to start out with, could you just let people know how you landed where you did? So like what you're doing and why your heart fell into aromatherapy and oils and your the self-love and coaching.
It's a big story, but it's to try and keep it condensed. I'm sure your beautiful listener will follow. You know, from a young girl, I was always my mum's right-hand person. She was a solo mother at a very young age, and I had a younger brother and sister. And so I probably stepped into kind of parenting almost from the age of 9. Went through a lot of conflict through those times with, mum and dad's divorce, and there was a court case with a bit of sexual abuse going on in there, and there was just tough times. It was when I look back, it was a very challenging upbringing, but I think I've always had a little bit of rose-tinted glasses and a Pollyanna view on life that everything always works out. And if you're a good person, and you give your best and you try your hardest, then beautiful things do happen. I'm not a realist to, think that everything is perfect and unicorns and rainbows, because I've also, been hit by the hard school of knocks. So I get that life is tough. And so as I grew with a real passion and love of sport and health and wellness, I did netball to a very high level, got to a state level with netball, loved that. And then kind of found a bug for travel after I quit law school after 6 months. I just thought, I can't do law. And saw on this day sitting at university, this ad to work and travel. And I thought, that's so much more me. And so I worked in travel for a number of years, and that just sparked the bug of adventure and discovery, and always be open to new opportunities. And mum always said, having been such a young mum, she had me at 17, make sure you travel the world and have a good time before you settle down. And so I started on my big OE over to Melbourne at 19 years of age and met this gorgeous guy. And that's another story in itself. But we went our separate ways for 4 years, and I decided to stay in Melbourne. And I was working in a gymnasium there and just wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Was it naturopathy? Was it something I wanted to study? And the gym had a beautiful natural therapies college next door. And I'm sure many of you will relate that, sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time. I had $180 in my bank account, and the course was $160 to do an aromatherapy, massage, nutrition. It was kind of like a sports thing as well. It sort of ticked a whole lot of boxes. Well, that 10-week course became 3 years of study and constant involvement and pursuing of, that whole line of the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. And it just kept opening up more and more and more of my love of health and well-being and nutrition and wellness, and that led me into aroma psychology, so using the oils to help the way we think and feel. And I graduated with my aromatherapy diploma in 1991. And the aroma psychology side of it really intrigued me. And that got me very interested in the way we think, the way we talk, the way we feel, our beliefs, what we limit ourselves with, why we sabotage, why there's a survival instinct of negativity or pessimism, and why we always fight or flight. Or there was just so many questions. But it was during that time I was also doing my getting my hours up in the sports therapy field of getting 200 clinical hours and community hours up. And it was during that time I met a beautiful gentleman called Cliff Young, that I'm sure many of your listeners wouldn't know who he is, but he was a potato farmer, 61 years of age, from Colac, who won the inaugural Sydney to Melbourne race. So he was an ultra marathoner. And he was quirky and he was cute and he was also very wise. And I still to this day would say that he's one of my greatest mentors, even though he's no longer with us. He just taught me so many beautiful, simple strategies around being the best that you possibly can. And even though I knocked him for running 24 hours around a track or 12-hour races or running down the highway for 10 days, like I didn't get it. When I told him how boring it was, he suggested that I, enter a race and see what it really is like. And I must admit, I would much rather run one than watch one. And so I did. I entered a 12-hour race. Never had I run beyond 10Ks. That 12-hour race I won, and that gave me entry into the Victorian 24-hour championships. I've never been awake for 24 hours, let alone run for 24 hours. But this is where I blended my knowledge around nutrition and using the oils for the way I was thinking and feeling. And I didn't master it. I spent 4 hours off the track, whinging, complaining, crying, quitting, not wanting to play. But there was something in me that kept pushing and pushing and just kept getting out on the track, one foot in front of the other. And I ended up winning that race and setting a world record for being the youngest female to run 100 miles in less than 24 hours, which then gave me entry to run for Australia in the United Kingdom at the World Indoor 24-Hour Championships. So this crazy world and love of health and wellness took me, and wanting to be a New Zealand netballer, took me into a whole world of ultra marathon running, aromatherapy, and running for Australia. And it was in 2008, my love of oils and aromatherapy, I then decided to create my own aromatherapy brand, basing it on the power of self-love, self-care, and doing rituals that embody who you are rather than making you into something you're not. And that's what I've been doing ever since, alongside coaching, mentoring, and running programs and teaching, all with my love of aromatherapy woven the whole way through.
I love that, Kim. It's such a beautiful story, and it is inspiring because I think you've always been somebody who openly shares, the struggles and the good times, and how that has, everyone has that in life, and I think you do. You share that so beautifully. So thank you for that. Just on the back of that, how come you decided to start your own oil company rather than to say go into doTERRA or something like that?
Well, doTERRA started the same year as me, and I didn't even know anything about them. So, and I'd worked for an aromatherapy company in Australia called Essence Aromatherapy, which they were really the trailblazers in the whole self-help world. We studied under Robert Tisserand, we did Tony Robbins, I had to do all my priority management programs, the Forum, Landmark Education. They really opened my whole world about the way we think. And that's what got me interested into NLP and hypnotherapy and understanding the psychology of the way our experiences, our upbringing, our beliefs all create what we think is the real world. But what I've really come to understand is there is no real world. It's just a perception of what we think is real. And if we can change our thoughts, we can change our life. And as simple and as maybe silly that sounds, that's how profound and deep it is. So I think really, my passion around understanding why I wanted to create this beautiful company is no one was doing what I wanted at the time.
Yeah.
And the girls that I was following with an Essence, they had split up and they were doing that. It was bought out by another company. And I just thought, why don't I do it my way? And it did take me 10 years to find the right supplier, the right people. So that wasn't a quick decision or journey. That was really from the late 90s until 2008, where I finally did launch 28. and named her 28, the word 20 and the number 8, based on the fact that I was born on the 28th. We know that we're governed by 28-day cycles, the moon, the sun, the tide. The female cycle is a 28-day cycle, and we know it, to create a habit, good or not so good, it can take around 28 days. And the number just really appealed to me. It was neither masculine nor feminine, it felt. It could appeal. And it also created intrigue. Why the number 28? And it's been a really beautiful way for me to honor the rhythms of life, our circadian rhythms, understanding the rhythms of nature, the environment. And because these beautiful oils come from nature, it was just my way of connecting into the life force of the plant is the essential oil. How could I use these beautiful products to connect with the life force, the vibration, the energetic essence of the individual that would use them? And I didn't even know about doTERRA. So it wasn't until a couple of years later that I went, oh my Lord. And they're a $1 billion company.
Yeah.
I'm not that. I'm a 6-figure company. So it's not like I'm a massive thing. And I realized, so through that process, and I know you saw me through this process, I actually, went to shut my business doors 2, maybe 3 times in that time, because felt like I wasn't good enough, felt like, why would people come to me? Felt like I would never compete with that, felt like a fraud in many ways. There was just so many sabotaging beliefs that would hit me at times. And then I got this one little email out of the blue on the day that I thought, that's it, I'm done. And she said she'd been a customer of doTERRA or Young Living, or maybe even both, these multi-level companies. And I just thought it was the message that said, they're amazing. There's lots of good things about them. But what I'd love to say is what I love about you is you're bespoke, you're small, you champion the little person. And I just feel more connected to you. And it was in that moment I went, I don't have to be anyone else. Just stay in my lane. Do what I'm good at and trust that I don't. And I didn't want to be a $1 billion company. I mean, if you understand what it takes to run a business, that is huge. And I realized I didn't even want that. So it was very important to me to keep it real, stay in my lane, go organic, be bespoke, look after. And people did like Australian, New Zealand made. They did like the coming back home rather than working with or for an American company, and not knocking any of them. They've shown the light on my industry beautifully. But it did make me realize, what am I, not what am I not?
Yeah. That's a beautiful way to look at it, isn't it? And it ties back into what you were saying about, our perception and how that can change everything, that belief in what we are and what we can do.
Well, I'm sure many of your beautiful artists, I don't know the art world. I can't do Pictionary, let alone draw. And so my hat just goes off to all of you incredible souls and how clever you are. But the one thing I've noticed is, art or oils or business, it's maybe not even the piece of art, the oil, or the SKUs that we sell. What people fall in love with or what they want to buy is you, your story, your essence, your truth, your beauty, your grace, your view of the world. I'm sure, there's millions of aromatherapists out there. I'm sure if we all stood up and talked about lavender, we would all say it differently or with our own spin. And that's how I look at the art world, the music world, the writing book world. Like someone said to me once, oh my gosh, why would you write another self-help book when there's so many out there? Well, there's always room for another good one. Same in cookbooks. There's always room for another good cookbook. I still buy cookbooks, and yet I've got a cupboard full of them.
Yeah.
So I think it's really taught me, stay in your lane, be true to yourself, give of yourself, and share yourself. That's probably the biggest thing. The only way we get seen is if we share who we are.
Yeah. That comes with its own challenges, doesn't it? But yeah. I do have some questions here, Kim, that I have chatted to some other artists and gotten some things that they would love to ask you. So do you mind if we head that way?
Of course.
So I'd love to know how you juggle work productivity and just simply living, and how do you stay on top of things, I guess, when life feels hard and it just feels completely overwhelming?
I think that's where rituals and having a repertoire of tools to that you invest in yourself first and foremost. I mean, life. I've not met anyone yet or interviewed anyone that's got the perfect life or had the perfect life or is always in the perfect realm. That's not what the human race is all about. And our journey, however we want to look at it from a spiritual, metaphysical, quantum realm point of view, we're here to learn, to grow, to expand and evolve. And that's just a thought. It's not a truth, but that is something that I believe, my job is to potentially help my children become better than we are, make the next generation, the next phase of this evolvement of planet Earth into something even grander and bigger and better. And so the thing for me is always come back to no one's going to look after me. No one's going to turn around and say, here's 6 days at Gwangana, go. Or here's a 5-day retreat in Noosa, enjoy yourself. No one does that. And you can either become a martyr and a slave to how tough life is, or you can go, you know what, I've got to take some self-responsibility here. It's not what happens to you in life. It's how you respond to it, how you show up to it. Life doesn't happen to you. It happens for you. If you choose to look at what we can take from the learnings, the good and the not so good. But then another level again of that, it doesn't happen for you. It happens through you. And that just takes you to another quantum level again where life is happening through us. And what are we going to do with those incidences or occurrences or the bads, the lows, the challenges? And in many ways, I think my ultra marathon running really taught me that no matter how many blisters, no matter how much you're bleeding, no matter how much it hurts, you've still got more to give. There's still more in you. There's still an opportunity to grow or push through. And anyone that's ever given birth or anyone that's ever run an ultra or anyone that's ever built a business from zero up to a 6-figure, 7-figure business will know that the birthing of all of that, it ain't easy. And it's not all, as I said, rainbows and unicorns. But it's through the challenges, the blisters, the pains, the hurts, the muscle aches, the headaches, the struggle that makes the win even more beautiful. It makes you've earned it. And I think that's where fitness and health, you can't buy it. Yes, we can take supplements. Yes, we can, for many people, they can get boob jobs, tummy tucks, liposuction, Botox. You can do all sorts of things to enhance it, but you can't hide from it. And, I've said to people many times, you can have 1,000 problems in your life right now, but the minute you have a major health problem, you've only got one. Because without our health, we can't perform, we can't give, we can't do. And so my husband, who played cricket for New Zealand for 10 years, he's always said health is your greatest asset. And I probably would come back to and concur with that very much, because I'm very much about looking after yourself, putting yourself first. We hear it all the time. Put your oxygen mask on before you put it on anyone else. How on earth do we manage to think we could be good mums or dads or good partners, wives, husbands, sisters, daughters, brothers, whatever it is, if we're not willing to be giving to ourselves first? And it's cliche. I know that. But if I don't make time to go for a walk or run or go to the gym or do yoga or do my meditation or read or get off socials or get off technology or draw or paint or write or journal, if I don't make time for that, yes, I could say the world's busy, it's too hard, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, but we all know that that is BS. It actually comes back to what you're willing to put as your priorities. What's the non-negotiables? For me, to take care of myself, to have good sleep hygiene, to exercise, to do my daily body boost rituals, to put my diffuser on every day, to put intentionality, to write in my gratitude journal or speak it into my phone, to ensure that I'm the best coach, teacher, mentor, and facilitator and businesswoman and mother and wife and all the things that I do. I'm useless if I don't have my health and my well-being and my attitude and my desire to want to serve and give to all. So that's why I teach these daily self-care rituals. Every single person knows what I'm talking about. It's just that sometimes we forget. And so I call myself a professional reminder. Everything I'm saying today is not new. Everyone listening to this, there's no accidents they're hearing it, but maybe something that we say today, beautiful Santia, is, oh gosh, that's the reminder. Yes, I must get out in nature. Gosh, I'm going to walk out to Letterbox right now and put both feet barefoot on the grass and take 3 deep breaths before I walk back in. That's as much as I can get in today, but it was intentional. It was with an open heart. And for some of us, I could even say going to the loo is your only time you get to yourself. But if you've got little people, they'll follow you in there, which is why I'll take an aroma mist in there and spritz myself and do a little 3-second spritz. I'm still doing something. So I love to think of the things of turning daily routines into rituals. Everything I do, I have a shift in energy and intentionality that it's a ritual, not a routine. I have to do this for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. I really like that way of looking at it. How do you believe, I guess, that vitality, like feeling energized and connected to yourself, for you, how does that affect your personal growth and your expression? I guess you've talked a little bit about that, but yeah, if you could go into that a little bit more.
Moving my body is essential. It is a non-negotiable. Moving your body gives you energy. Moving your body makes you fitter, stronger. And as I'm an older woman nearing 60, I don't mean old, I just mean I'm nearing 60, it's even more imperative and it's more important because when you're young, you kind of got this energy, you got more testosterone and estrogen to kind of keep pushing you through the struggles and challenges and the energy desiring and the need. And if you've got children, there's almost like, yeah, you don't have a choice. You've got to keep going. So as you get older and when your children leave home and the focus is more about you and sometimes people slow down, it's like sometimes I think aging is like this relentless pursuit for comfort. Well, I don't want to be comfortable. I
Yeah,
don't
it
want to
is,
lie
isn't
on
it?
it.
So
Yes,
true.
I just
So
don't
true.
want to get comfy. I don't want to sit on a couch watching TV. I don't want to not be able to move or the thought of my children having children one day. I don't want to be able to walk the dogs with them or go and play footy with them or take them hiking or something. So to me, it is absolutely imperative that I move my body. And that's how I tap into my heart, my soul, my purpose, my essence, because this vehicle is the only one I've got and I can't change it apart from the little subtleties we talked about. But I need to nurture her. If I look at this body like a Formula One, if this was a Formula One car, there's no way they'd put 91 petrol in a Formula One car. So for me, why would I put anything other than the best quality food to fuel this so that every one of these 50 trillion cells is operating at her best? And then if I do get tired or run down, rather than going, oh, I'm tired and run down, go, oh, what's my body trying to tell me? The body is constantly giving you signals. They say dementia starts at 30. They say, not being able to lift or losing having osteoporosis or problems around your bone strength starts in your 20s. So if you think you've got it all sussed in your 20s and 30s and even 40s, trust me, if you're not investing into yourself, your health with weight resistant training, getting out into nature, walking, jogging, swimming, dancing, gardening, whatever it is that you want to do to move this physical body, then potentially you're not going to be the best artist or speaker or provider or mentor or coach. I mean, I wouldn't go to a PT that was overweight. I wouldn't necessarily want to, and this is where I look at politicians and business coaches and perhaps even artists, don't forget the vehicle that gave you the tools to be the best that you possibly can be. And so I'm very, very big on health, wellness, and investing in your body in order to have the energy and the functionality that you need to think without brain fog. And as you go through perimenopause and menopause, those are women that are listening, that you do it with grace and strength, not I have to take tablets or I'm useless or everyone's annoying me or I've got brain fog or I can't. It's you actually can. The body's talking to you. It's not your enemy. It's just time perhaps that we listen to the little signals, the whispers, before they become screams or potentially they actually knock you off your perch and you're in bed for 6 weeks or you have to have surgery or you have to take time out. Like The body is talking to you. You don't just have to have surgery one day. There is usually signs and signals leading up to that. So yeah, if I could give you anything from that, it would be listen to the cues, use your body as your ally, your tool, your best friend, and then potentially he or she will have even more to give to your work, your art, your family, your friends, your social community.
What would you say to the person, Kim, who I guess hasn't made those things a priority and and doesn't know where to start?
You're never too old or too young to start that. Like I said, could be walking out to the letterbox in bare feet and just looking up at the sky and saying 3 things you're grateful for. And then perhaps before you even enter back into the house, you do 10 squats. My grandmother always said the worst thing, she died at 95, the worst thing, she goes, keep squatting, dear, keep squatting. The worst thing is to have someone have to help you go to the toilet. She said, it's not ladylike.
I love that.
And so sometimes, before I'll go to the toilet, a lot of the time, I'll do 10 squats before I actually sit down. I have to earn the right to sit down. Before I sit at my desk, I have to earn the right to be able to sit. And I was going to say paint, but I don't paint. I'd be lying if I said paint. Before I sit down and write or I do things, I have to earn the right. So, of course, I went to the gym this morning. I've got it locked in my diary this afternoon to get out when the sun's out to get some vitamin D and go for a 30-minute walk. Or some people like to measure in steps, could be 5,000 steps, whatever floats your boat. Some people like the apps. I just like to get out there with my Strava app and make sure I do my 5Ks or my half an hour, whatever it is. Because also while I'm out there, my creativity is so powerful. And I love
Yeah, I've
putting
heard
in,
that a lot.
I put my headphones in and I'll be thinking, now I can't talk again from an artist's perspective, but maybe I've got a talk coming up. And so I'll go out with intentionality. All right, guides, angels, while we're out here, I want you to load me up. Bring it in. This is what I'd love. I'd love all these people to walk out of this talk feeling inspired to take care of themselves, excited to know that their body is their best friend, and absolutely buzzing and fizzing that aging is nothing to be afraid of. It is the most precious gift ever bestowed on anyone. So I'll go, okay. So then I'll go out for my walk, and then I may not have headphones in those days because I might like to really let my own thoughts process it. And I find I do one of 2 things, which you may find interesting as well. I just sometimes have these urges to clean and declutter. And I look at that as a workout as well. So if I'm going to clean and declutter, it has to be with the intentionality of it being like a workout. So I'll get boxes out. I'll be mindful of how I lift, how I put things away, how I strap things up and carry it to the car. Like everything's a workout. But I've noticed when I'm cleaning and decluttering, I'm actually cleaning and decluttering my mind. It's really bizarre. It feels so refreshing to let go. So whenever I have a desire to clean and declutter, I know my brain is saying, we need to just do a little, defrag. Like let's just clean up this system, get rid of any viruses. Let's just do this. And then there's other days where I love cooking and I really love baking and creating. And this is each week I get these feelings. And so when I'm in I'll put things down and I'll go out and I'll make beautiful. Like this morning, I made I made up a recipe for cacao protein balls with blackcurrant powder in it and chia seed. And I just had this thought in my head at the gym this morning, what would be good? Came home and I've made them and I've put them in the freezer. And I'm like, I know when I'm cooking or baking or creating, I'm also cooking and baking and creating ideas in my mind. So I've used them both as metaphors now, but both of them, you'll notice, I'm moving my body. It's not sitting there in kumbaya land or sitting there going, oh, life sucks or it's hard. I'm
It's
actually
interesting.
proactive with what I do.
That's very interesting because, I mean, I'm new to fitness, Kim. So this journey for me, okay, I guess it started last year when I started doing weights. And I'm someone who, like, I do yoga and Qigong, but I've never somebody who's done CrossFit or exercise or what I'd see as real exercise. And I guess because I'm mindful of what I eat and that very much, so I haven't put on a lot of weight. I will put on weight easily if I don't, watch what I eat now. Was never used to be a problem, but I must say my journey with weight was incredible. I was quite blown away by my mental state when I was doing weights. And I started with an online app and I was just had a couple of dumbbells and I was doing it 3 times a week. And my mental state during that time though, like nothing in life, nothing else really changed. it was just me doing the weights. And it was because, in the back of my head, I'm going, okay, I'm coming into those perimenopausal years and I need to do something, or, and then I kind of got into this because I'll go deep on something and I'll research it and I'll find all the different options and probably a little bit too much. But just that how I felt was amazing. And
Yeah.
and I've got a session with a PT next week. So I'm like, okay, I'm finding all the online stuff kind of confusing, and I noticed a couple of niggly things and I don't want to injure my body. So I'm really, conscious of form and doing this properly. But I want to bring it into my life because I loved how I felt. So
It's
it
so
is,
powerful. And I think for
yeah,
you, someone who's so creative and always thinking of others and having to create for others, it's your way of giving back to yourself. And I love the word resistance training. It builds resistance and resilience in you. That's how I look at it as the metaphor. Or going for a run or a walk. You don't have to be a CrossFitter. I personally
yeah,
don't do CrossFit. I'm too old. I shouldn't say that. That's just an excuse. My body doesn't respond as well to really, because my mental side will push, and I'll push through and create an injury because I don't listen to my body as well. I've learned how to push through pain. So I have to be very mindful of not going too far. And so I'm very conscious of sharing this with people because I think it's got to work for you. And I absolutely acknowledge you for getting a PT because I have a PT 3 times a week. One, I don't want to have to think about what I'm doing because I think about a lot already. So that's why I love having a PT and investing money and time into that. Two, she's the one that's increasing my weights and reps and doing things like that. So it's in her brain, not mine, which is another beautiful thing not to have to fill my head with. But also three, when I am away or I am traveling overseas and I go into a gym, I know what I'm doing. And I've been taught how to do it properly. So I do not injure myself. But I do know this. What I think is a level 10, I just can't do another one. I'm so done. My level 10 is my coach's level 6 for me.
right. Oh, wow.
So you think you're done, and then I've been listening to a lot of people like David Goggins lately, and if anyone doesn't know who that is, he's just an absolute demon machine, runs
Right.
so many ultras, and he's all about staying hard and going the distance, and he had a really traumatic upbringing, but he believes that when you think you're done, you're actually only at 40%. Now
Wow.
that even blew me away because I was like, oh, I must be at 80 or 90%. But he thinks you're not even halfway. When you feel like you're done, you're not even halfway.
Wow.
That's how much he believes in the human potential of what we've still got. But our mind will quit, and I know this. Our mind will quit 100 times before the body ever will.
Yeah.
So it's never your body usually. It's this goes, I can't. Oh, it's too hard. But then I've said to people things like, okay, do a 5 minute wall sit. And they're like, what? And they're going to sit in a squat position with their back against the wall and hold their body weight for 5 minutes. Now, if any of you took that on, some people get to 10, 20, 30 seconds and they go, I can't, my legs are burning, I'm shaking. And that's just because we're not strong enough. But if I turned around to every one of your beautiful artists and said, we're going to do a 10-minute wall sit, and there's $1 million at stake for you when you actually get to that 10 minutes. Again, some may not make it, but I tell you what, the stakes are a lot higher now. And that's when you start to understand that the why of what you do actually is just as important as to what you do. So that's why, some people aren't interested in exercise. It's like there's no why. Their body moves, they seem okay. They've never thought about it. They've not been around people that are fit or lean or training or aspiring to do something. And it's not until you get problems or injuries or weakness, you can't lift something or whatever, that you start to go, oh, actually, I'm pretty weak. And so the body, we're designed to be hunters, gatherers. That's what we started out as. We didn't have all the luxuries we had to hunt and kill our meat if we wanted it. These days we go, let's go down to Coles or Woolies. I wouldn't buy meat there, but you go down to a nice butcher or go to your markets and get a side of a beef, or I don't know. We can go and do it.
Hmm.
I don't know how I would cope with killing chickens or a big cow. I'll admit it, I'm a princess, but we're but put me in the wild and potentially put me into starvation, or that this is my only level of survival, I don't know what I'm capable of. I'm sure that when survival kicks in, it's like one day, and this is a classic. I was young, it was before children. It was actually when I was at law school, and I'm sitting there, and the classroom was actually underground. So the windows for the classroom was actually at street level. So you could see people's feet walking past from in the classroom, if that makes sense. And I was late, and I was in a V-dub, a little, Herbie type of V-dub, very old, little 1968er. And I went to reverse park, and we didn't have power steering back then. So I'm reverse parking, and it was really hard, and it was tight, and I was late for class. And then the car went forward, and the front big bumper hooked onto the tow bar of the car in front of me. And I panicked, put it in reverse, and went to remove it backwards. And then realized that the tow bar, was underneath my bumper. Freaked, put the car in park. I think I must have put it in park or something. Neutral, because it wasn't an automatic. Put it in neutral. Got out of the car in panic mode and lifted the car off the tow bar. Got back in the car, put it into first, parked, brake on, and went down into the classroom. And everyone they'd all watched me do it from the classroom. And they've all gone, do, 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 which back in my day, there was a show, The $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman. And, they had special powers and whatever. Anyway, it was so funny. Well, when I went, I didn't think anything of it until I went to leave that day. And I went, and I tried to lift the front of the car. I couldn't even budge it. Oh. Where the hell did that strength come from? We are so unfamiliar with our potential. It's not even funny, which is why I love pushing the physical body and doing something like aim to do a 5K park run every Saturday. Aim to do a half marathon or a 10K in your city that you live in. And you can walk it. You don't have to run it, but push yourself. Get out of your comfort zone. Do something, because I am yet to meet anybody who's ever come back from a workout, a walk, a jog, anything, and gone, wish I hadn't done that. I haven't yet to, unless they've injured themselves, of course, but then that's usually because they're not paying attention or they're not doing it right. But I am yet to meet anyone that ever comes back from moving their body and going, bummer. I think
it's true. It's true with exercise, isn't it? That we often go, I don't feel like doing that, but you do it anyway. And then you go, I'm glad I did that.
And you watch the endorphins, all the beautiful chemicals and hormones that are released through moving your body. They call it the runner's high for a reason. We get a high after we work out. We feel better. We've got, you cannot buy that feeling. You cannot buy it.
True. And any tips for working out when it's really hot, which it has been?
Well, I'm probably the worst person to give advice on this because I love training in the heat.
I guess if you look at it as adding another layer to that resistance.
See, I really don't like the real cold, but I'll still push myself in the real cold. But the real heat, I love. I'll go out today in the middle of the day when it's 34 degrees, and I'll probably do a 5K run or at least a 5K walk. Yeah. Now what I have started noticing, I'm better if I take a bum bag with at least 500 mils of water with me so I can sip a bit more on those hot days. Or if I'm doing on the track, then I know there's no taps anywhere, then I will take water with me. But I also find that heat loosens my body. I feel more, I operate better with heat, which is why I live on the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah.
Whereas some people, they would much prefer the cool. And most people would say to me, there's no way I'd go out in the middle of the day on a hot summer's day and train. Whereas I look out there and go, can't wait to get out there. So I'm not saying that everyone should do that, especially if you're not used to it. It's something that I've done for years training, and I just love it. So if it was that, then stay in the air-conditioned home or go to the air-conditioned gym or yoga studio or whatever it is that you're doing. Just don't not exercise. But at home, there's some, like you said, there's some beautiful apps. If you've got bands and a couple of dumbbells, you could do a 10-minute. There's a Tabata app on your phone that could do 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, and you can do that. You can time yourself for a 10-minute workout. Or, and I'm happy to give it to your listeners, my daughter and I wrote a book called The Fab 5 and 5, which is 5 exercises done in 5 minutes. And we've got all the pictures in there on how to do it, which is sit-ups, press-ups, push-ups, tricep dips. And I've just gone blank with the other one. Anyway, there's 5 exercises. She added one to it. That's why I can't remember. It might be, doing push-ups from here. I can't remember. Anyway, there's 5 exercises that I'd rather you did 5 minutes every day of those 5 exercises than nothing at all, because you didn't get to the gym, or it was too hot or too wet or too cold. There's always regret when we don't do something. There's never regret when you do a little bit of something. So maybe even aim for a whole lot of little bits rather than a whole lot of nothing. And there is so much support online, free, or if it's really important to you and values are really, and it's very high in your values, that's why I pay to be trained, because that's how important it is to me. So I don't drink really a lot of alcohol very often. I don't buy crap food. I don't spend money on other areas that other people might. So it's just a shift in what you value. If you have, coffee every day, sure, some people might go, but I really love that. Well, if it's a real high value, the social connection and the meeting with your girlfriends and doing that, then potentially it's going to be very hard to say, well, drop your cup of coffee and put that into getting some gym weights or a program. Probably won't work if social connectivity and the feeling of being with friendships over the cup of coffee is way higher. But if health is a high value of yours, particularly in the top 5 values, if it really is, there is no excuses. It's about making the time and finding the money if needed to do what's required in order for you to operate at your best. We are moving machines. We're not made to be sedentary or to sit in these chairs all day long. We are designed to be moving, energetic, strong, resistant, resilient beings that can get through life. So yeah, don't stop. My words for this year are all in. So every time I go to speak on anything at the moment, I go, so all in, go all in. Stay hard.
I love that. That's true. For people who feel disconnected from their passion, their work, their creativity, how can they reconnect with that vitality and sensuality? And how can, I guess, that self-care help them feel more alive? Like, how can they tap into that energy as a source of creativity and flow in their work?
My grandmother always said, if you don't know what it is that you want to do in life, or you haven't got any passion or a sense of what it is you want to achieve, serve. And I've never forgotten that. So if you've lost a bit of zest for life, or you've lost that sort of, I don't know even who I am anymore, or you're questioning it, then what can you do to help others? And in the helping of others, you actually learn or see or feel or get back in touch with what's important to you. And there's something very special about helping others, is a reflection often, or a mirroring of potentially what we need for ourselves. Why I do my 2-minute body boost ritual every morning is because I'm saying I'm worth it. And so every morning, and I've done it since I was 18 years of age, I used to, now I've got it pre-blended, but I used to get a bowl, a teaspoon of carrier oil like jojoba or sweet almond, 3 drops of my blend, or 1 drop of each essential oil, 3 sprays of magnesium, mix it all up, hop out of the shower, and then dip, rub all down up one leg, dip, rub all up the other leg, into the tummy, over the chest, dip and rubbing all the way around. And then I give myself a hug, scrape the bowl, and I'll say, I'm a great mum. I'm an incredible artist. I'm a beautiful soul. I love to serve. I am a hot mama. Whatever it is you want to say, something beautiful to yourself. And that's great on the days that we feel good. But on the days where life does suck and we haven't got that vitality, then it might be, I'd say something like, God, universe, source, whatever you want to call it, God, give me the courage, grace, strength, and dignity to live my life at its best, or to get through this. And then I'll take a deep breath to aromatically anchor it in via the central nervous system, through the hippocampus, and the hypothalamus, which is the part of the brain where our olfactory system really does release chemicals and endorphins through our sense of smell. So I love using essential oils as an aromatic anchor to how I'd like to feel. Even if I'm not feeling it, I'm putting the intention out And maybe I'll use oils that are more energizing, or oils that are more balancing, or oils that are more grounding. Like once you have an understanding of what some of these oils can do, it's beautiful. And so and now I've pre-blended the whole thing. So now I just pour it in my hands and I do the slapper method. So I'll put a teaspoon of there, I'll slap it on, and then I go back and rub it in and just say beautiful things. Give thanks to my legs, my arms, my belly that's covered in stretch marks that house two babies. Like rather than looking at it as floppy boobs and a bad stomach, I'm like, I grew two humans. I fed two humans, like being grateful for what we have rather than what we haven't got. And of course, some of the worst things we can do is comparisonitis, looking at what everyone else is doing out there in the world. Other artists, it must be hard in your world because some of you, I imagine, have an amazing idea and you sit and you percolate, you procrastinate, you wait, and then someone else goes and does it. And you're like, that was my idea. Well, that's the calling. When it's there, ignite, act, activate, get in, get it done. And you do come back as you start getting a few runs on the board. You do start to get that vitality and that energy back again. Remember, life is full of ups and downs, ins and outs, highs and lows. It's not a flat line. So you're never going to stay at the highs forever and you're never going to stay at the lows forever. And if we can just remember that, my intention with the rituals and oils and good nutrition and moving your body is that at least when we do hit the lows, because it's not if we hit the lows, it's when we hit the lows, then we've got a repertoire of tools to get us back out of it as quicker than potentially what we would have done without the intentionality of serving myself. And the other thing to remember is when life's good, that's the time to start integrating good habits and energy and rituals around that, because it's not when life's good that it's easy. It's when it's tough that it's so challenging. So how do I get through those little troughs of life or the big troughs of life with courage, grace, strength, and dignity? And that's doing things, serving myself and others, but not burning myself out in the process.
Yeah, very true. Thank you, Kim. I think that's so, and I found that personally, as I think that, as somebody who's gone through anxiety and depression, and I still do have those times, I see them as dips now, but I do have a lot of tools under my belt that I know it's not going to last forever. I know that, now if I'm in that kind of dip, it might be a little bit of a slower time, or a time when everyone leave me alone, where I want a hermit or something like that. But I know that I'll come out of that and it won't last forever.
I really want to acknowledge you for that, because most of us just want to curl up in a ball and shut the world off and just wake me when it's over kind of thing. Very understandable. But there is some research out there now saying that those that do have anxiety and depression, one of the best counter activities to do for that is to move. So go for a walk, hug
Absolutely.
a tree, ground your feet outside, get to the beach, walk up around a mountain, garden, plant, get your hands in the soil, do something in nature to self-preserve, but also to reconnect to the Mother Earth and Father Sky energy. And yeah, depression and anxiety is real, and depression and anxiety can be debilitating, but it doesn't mean it's over or the end. Just like stress comes and goes as well. But we live in this perpetual state of fight or flight these days because there's so much to do. And potentially the depression and anxiety, or the desire to be left alone, is also your body's way. We may have labeled it anxiety and depression. And it could also be the body's way of saying, please just take a break. Please just do shut off from it. Put a mask on, do a meditation, and actually take some time out. So I don't have the answer as to what's the best thing to do, but I do know there's a choice or a plethora of ideas of what you could try, and then find your jam. What's the one thing that works for you to get you out of that dip or that trough or that low that puts you back into being your exceptional, beautiful, amazing self?
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I think I've found personally that it's acknowledging that I'm in that state. Whenever I fight it, it lasts so much longer. When I sort of don't recognize it, I'll be, I'm fine, I'm fine. And it's sort of what you were saying there, is that nearly burnout. It's like recognizing I can take some time today. I can go, I'm in this space right now, and I can take the time to reconnect with nature. Or I've got an artist friend who, she's in Norway, and she's sort of lives in a country area, and she goes and visits the cows down the road because she loves the cows. Yes,
I so love cows. Oh,
and there's just something in nature and getting out that is beautiful. and
Yeah.
lets us connect back to ourselves, I think.
Well, I think too, as I said before, we are ever changing, ever growing. We're never static. We never stay the same. Things, so we call them taps, wax, and max. I alluded to just before about listening to the body, the whispers, but the taps, wax, and max, it's like sometimes we get tapped on the shoulder. Oh, I can feel myself in a bit of a funk. So instead of, waiting for the next level, the whack, where it actually does take you out and you need to lie down, or worse than that, the Mac truck, which actually puts you in hospital or onto medication or something, listen to the taps. And then what are the beautiful little self-care rituals you can do? I'm not saying you'll get out of the funk, but let's get funky with the funk. What can I do? Walk. I just cannot recommend to you enough how Mother Nature is the most healing, restorative, calming, energizing, beautiful thing to be wrapped in. And the only way to do that is to get out from under the blue lights, get out from away from technology, get out into her. Just even sitting outside and noticing how many birds can I hear. Doing that for 5 minutes is probably more healing than just sitting there with your hands in your head going, I don't know if I can do this. So it's taking self-responsibility, taking action. As you say, I wrote a book called The Art of Self-Love, which has 6 steps. The first step, when we fall out of love with ourselves or we're in a funk or a trough or a dip, being aware is the first step to loving yourself. Yeah, I'm in a funk right now. Life sucks right now. The second step is to take care of yourself, even more so when you're in those spaces. So self-care is step number 2. You've got to take care of yourself. Most people sabotage themselves. They'll drink more. I don't know, maybe random sex, maybe drugs, alcohol,
Binge
whatever.
Netflix, scroll
Binge,
social media.
it's totally right. Like anything but caring for themselves.
Yeah.
And so self-care, and that's where I bring in the oils and the rituals and the movement and all of that, nutrition and eating well and moving well. The third step is self-discipline. You don't just do it once. It takes discipline to create a new neurochemical pathway that overrides the sabotaging one. And remember, it's 28 days. So you got to do this. You got to commit to yourself for at least 28 days that I'm going to move my body, or I'm going to body boost every day, or I'm going to stay off socials for 28 days, or whatever it is that floats your boat. Hug a tree every day, whatever it is. So self-discipline is probably the missing piece for a lot of people, because they hear, yeah, I'm aware I'm in a funk. Yes, I can take care of myself. May not do it well, but I understand that. But discipline and committing to yourself to it, that's where a lot of people go, yeah, it just didn't work, or nah, it wasn't for me. No, your discipline wasn't what was working for you. Then when we come around the other side of what I call the self-love circle, when you do apply the self-discipline, then you have more self-control. And when we have self-control, we're more mindful of what we say, what we think, what we do, what we eat, what we put into and onto our bodies. We're more mindful of how we speak to our partner, our kids, our friends, our parents. Self-control is one of the most beautiful attributes someone could hold. And then with self-control, we then show massive amounts of self-respect. There's no way I'd put a Coke or a Diet Coke or a fizzy drink, a coloured drink into my body. You would have to, I don't know what you'd have to do to make me do that, because I know the repercussions of that. I'd never smoke a cigarette. I would never binge drink. I actually just haven't done that. I'm not saying it's bad or right. I'm not trying to judge anyone that's done any of these things, but it's just, they're non-negotiables for me. I have too much respect for this beautiful body. I've had 6 surgeries because I've pushed my body with both shoulders, 2 back surgeries and a knee surgery. I've pushed it, so I know my break point. But I also know how much I appreciate how she bounces back, and she really, with love and care, will give me the best that I possibly can ask from that. And with that self-respect of how I speak and treat and do things to myself and others comes self-acceptance. And when I'm in that space of self-acceptance, I can appreciate that I've got warts, that I've got constraints, that I've got weaknesses, that there's parts of me that could do with improving. There's parts of me that's lazy. There's parts of me that procrastinates. But there's also an incredible amount of vitality and vim and vigor and energy and desire to give and change and make a difference and all of those things. So self-acceptance is honoring all parts of us, the shadow and the light, the dark and the bright. Remembering I went to India in 2011 and took a group with me to listen to the 12th Khenting Taisatupa, who was the second in line to the Dalai Lama. We listened to him for 7 days. And I had this beautiful one-on-one with him. I was chosen out of all these people to have a one-on-one. And he goes to me, what is it you'd like to ask, child? And I said, yes, I have a very big question for you. Why do humans have to suffer? Why do we have to be challenged all the time? Why is life so tough? And he stood there. Very human question, he said, very human. He said, my dear, how can you possibly understand love without fear or hate? How could you possibly understand the highs of life without experiencing the lows? How would you ever appreciate the light if you hadn't been exposed to the dark? Life is full of dichotomies, the highs and lows, the extremes, and it's teaching you where to find your soft spot, your happy place, the happy medium, whatever it is you want to call it. Not comfort zone, but the happy place. And I walked out of there going, because I had this vision that we don't have to struggle. We don't have to be challenged. But actually, it's through struggle and challenges that we do our biggest growth. So I'm sorry, it's part of life. It's how we choose to deal with it. Are we going to draw a line in the sand and be accountable, responsible, and take ownership? Or is the line there and we go below the line where we blame, go into denial, and make excuses all the time? You can be a victim or a victor. It's entirely up to you how you want to look at it. But there's a choice, and we all have a choice every single moment of every single day. So if you are in the pity party of life, acknowledge it. You're just in a weak spot, a dark spot, acknowledge it. Back to square one. The next part is to take care of yourself. What am I going to do to make a difference today? What greens am I going to have? What am I going to fuel myself with? What breath work could I do outside? How far could I walk today? What yoga class shall I go to? Now I'm going to commit to that for at least 28 days. What? Yeah, 28 days. You deserve this. Now you'll find your spark slowly comes back. You've got more control over those thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And with that comes respect. I am worthy of this. I deserve to spend time and money or one or the other on this. And with that, you're back to self-acceptance. So, and it never ends, by the way. And we can come into that circle with a phone call in the afternoon. We can be totally ripped out of it, as we know. So it's just, what's the pathway? And I guess being an athlete and running for Australia and playing top level netball, I've always known that I like steps. I like to know what's the process, what's the program, what's the pathway to get me back to being my best self. So I hope that helps, because to me, it's moment by moment, breath by breath, step by step, day by day. You can change and turn your life around again.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I think it really hits on something for me too, that I get really down on myself when I fail, when I maybe fall short of an expectation or a dream, and I'm so hard on myself in those times. So not quite so much now, because I tend to recognize it a bit more, but that we all go through that. And I think, just like you said about you being a professional reminder, it is a nice reminder to go, well, it's okay. It's okay that I'm in that space, that I didn't meet that goal, or I didn't. There's so many examples I could come up with, but I can start again. There's always another moment or another meal or another tomorrow, and that doesn't end until we're dead. So,
and potentially you can ask yourself quality questions. Wonder why I'm feeling like this. What did I miss? Have I eaten enough today? Have I drunk enough today? What am I really feeling? And really sit with it. Put your timer on for 5 minutes and ask, who am I? And just keep writing. Let the pen just write. Who am I for 5 minutes? What am I feeling? For 5 minutes, set a timer and just keep letting it pour out. Because the longer you write and let it pour out, there's the neuroassociation with the brain and the head. Don't type it. Use a pen. Keep writing. And then what can I learn from this? And even if you don't know the answer yet, there is something, and you'll find it. Most of us, when we get through a tough time and we look back with hindsight, and understanding, we go, if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't have chosen to do this. Or if I hadn't split up with him, or he hadn't dumped me, or she hadn't said those things, I would never be in the position I am in now. So you can almost have gratitude for the things that have gone wrong. Now, I know that's hard to say when you're in the funk, and if someone ever comes up to you and goes, there's such a gift in this, Sanchia, there's such a gift, you'd probably want to bop them. So it's really important that we allow the process and we listen. Be active listeners to people that are going through a funk. Don't be a fixer. Just listen and potentially do the same. Your conscious mind asks the question, your unconscious mind will answer. Don't fix it for the unconscious. Let the unconscious tell you what it needs, because it's underneath the conscious thought that our true feelings are sitting. But we'll often have this critical factor, this critical mind that stops the dive into that because it wants to protect us ultimately.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I noticed that. Yeah, resistance. I call my, like, because I have the OCD type. I've named her. That's Janice.
I
So
love it.
it's enabled me to separate myself from that. So now I'm just like, oh, that's just Janice. Janice can be there, but I don't always listen to her now. So
Hi, Janice. What have you
yeah.
got for me?
Oh, you're back. Yeah. Pull up a chair. Stay
All
however
right.
long you
What do you
want. I'm
need? I get it. I love it. I love it. And then you want
so.
to make sure you got your superpower. Who's your superpower? What is your superpower? What's her name?
Oh, I
Because
hadn't
then,
thought of that. I like
yeah.
that. I
So
like that. Tell me
then,
more about that.
yeah. Well, if most of us have a superpower. We have something that we're really good at innately. And whenever I ask people, what is your superpower? They go, "Oh, I don't know." And I go, no, I really want you to think about, what do you do well? What feels good? What's effortless for you? What have people said about you that's really beautiful? And still, people might say, and particularly in the programs that I run, they'll go, oh no. So then I get into the next thing. All right, the next challenge I have for you is to ask your close friends and family, what do they think your superpower is? And then it's amazing what people say, like genuinely, the words, the sentences, the phrases that people come back with. It's freaking beautiful. It's
Yeah, it would be.
so lovely. And then put all of those qualities and name her or give her a
Yeah.
superhero so
I
that
love
you
that idea
know.
of having a superhero part as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's great to acknowledge Janice, but we don't want Janice taking up too much brain space. We know
No,
she's
no.
there, but we need, I don't know, Xena, the other side, warrior princess at the other end, or
Yes.
whoever's someone that you look up to. And this is what we call in the work that I do, the shadow and the golden shadow. So who's your golden shadow? Yes, we can honor the shadow, but let's also honor and use the resources of someone that you look up to, or the qualities or attributes of that super person. Or it could be someone, it could be your mum, it could be a friend, someone that you really admire. Then we can call on those resources to support us to quieten down beautiful Janice. Let Janice
Yeah.
just get back in her box.
Yes. My kids say to me that it's like they're like, "Mum, is Janice out again? Do you need to chain her to the tree down in the swamp?"
They get it more than anyone. Now
They
you can
do. They
give
do.
them the superpower one and they'll go, bring out her.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to. You mentioned before about journaling, Kim. Now I know I've got some artists who listen who would probably be quite interested in your take on journaling and how journaling works for you.
Okay, well, when I was young, from about the age of, I guess, 10, maybe 11 or 12, when we kind of had pen pals and things like that back then. Remembering we had no internet back then. All my diaries, I'd write a full page every night before I went to sleep. That was my journaling time. I would write down what was happening. Now, I also put codes into that so that if anyone ever read my diary, they wouldn't. And now I look at those diaries, I don't even know the codes. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. But so journaling was a very big part of my young life. Now, I'll be absolutely honest with you, the thought of sitting down and journaling just doesn't float my boat. So what I do is I send a text to my husband and all my children of three things that I won at today, or three things I'm grateful for, or in my notes section of my phone, I'll put a win for that day. Um, I don't have time to do a lot of journaling, and that's an excuse. I just don't make it a priority because I spend so much time on the internet with clients, teaching, doing programs, writing new things.
Yep.
I don't know. It just doesn't float my boat. I love people to do it. I'd rather, now, I know I'm not an artist, but I'd rather get a colouring book out and actually colour in the adult colouring books that I've got. I'd much rather that than journaling. But the three things I'm grateful for, or the thing that I won at today, or what I achieved today, that I love. So I'm not a big journaler anymore, but I do put voice messages into my phone, or I will write my grateful thing, or Danny and I have always done what's three things you're grateful for.
Yeah,
And
that's beautiful.
that's my way of journaling.
Yeah, which I think, and that's what I'm learning. I did an immersion last year with the poet Victoria Erickson, and it was this 10-week beautiful container of women, and we learnt to write from that ache or that, deep place. And I learned that it's different for everybody. And so, yeah, journaling for me would just be something simple like what you said, but also connecting into myself and more writing prose than even big long pages anymore. And
Yeah.
that evolves over time.
Yeah, I've got a girlfriend who's written in a diary for years. She's about 10 years older than me. And she will go, oh my gosh, my diary in 1987, when you said this, I've still got it highlighted in there when you said that back in 1987. And I go, did you?
Wow.
And so she's
Yeah.
the other extreme, but she was also the head of the English department at a high school for girls. She's got a PhD in English literature. So for her, that's her art. It's her
Yeah, that's
expression. It's
beautiful.
the way she writes. And so for her, writing is a way to get into, and it's all handwritten, which I would always recommend that you handwrite or use your hands for that reason, because you connect to the heart, the essence of you, way more by writing than you ever will typing. Even though I'm a way faster, tidier typer than I am writer, I still write a lot.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a practice that we tend to not use as much as it when it's so easy to go on our computers. But there's
Yeah.
there's too many other distractions on a computer. I find sometimes if I've got a notebook, I can't go look something up. So
And get coloured pencils or pens, because
yes,
then in your diary you can, or your journal or your drawing book or whatever it is, you actually then, colour is something that helps us learn as well. So it's a really beautiful thing. You could do different colours in your book, and you guys are all artists. Oh God, I'm preaching to the converted, but drawing and creating imagery around your life is also a very powerful thing to do. So yeah, use color, use words, use bold, use every tool at your disposal. And for some of you, I could even imagine that your paintings would actually be your journaling. You're creating
yeah.
art on this canvas or whatever your medium is. To me, I can only imagine as an artist that is journaling, a form of journaling.
I know an artist who does beautiful mixed media work, but they will actually use like pages ripped out of their journal, collaged in to parts of it, which I think is
Wow.
really beautiful. Because so you'll see, yeah, like some of the scroll, like little verses they've written, or like I just think that adds just such a beautiful dimension and depth to something.
And so personal. So beautiful. What a great idea. I
Yeah.
know for me, a lot of people do vision boards as well, whereas
Yes.
I think I've got mine here. Oh, yes, here it is. I will see a picture, or I'll print a picture off the internet or something, and I actually created a visual journal. So my journal is full of imagery and words and what I'd love to achieve or how, and then that way I can even take that with me rather than a vision board. So I guess that lights me up. Doing it's
Oh,
like
I
adult
like that idea.
it's
Yeah.
adult kindergarten rather than writing. It just doesn't appear, probably because I do so
Yeah.
much writing, but a visual or a vision board journal that
Oh,
you
that's
can take with
beautiful.
you and move with you and even travel with you. It's
Yeah.
so cool to look back on, because then you start to see that the body you wanted or the house you wanted or the book you wanted to write or
Yeah.
the painting you wanted to sell, or it's in there and it's visual.
Oh, I really like that idea, Kim.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of artists have these huge, like, beautiful dreams, not always big dreams, but they've got dreams and plans, but those dreams feel really far away. How would you decide what to focus on and then actually make progress towards those dreams when you feel like there's so many things you could do?
I read a book once, How Do You Eat an Elephant? One Bite at a Time. So many people overestimate what they can do in a month or even a year, but they underestimate how much they could do in a year or 5 years. And so sometimes the pressure comes from within, where we think, oh, I'm going to lose 30 kilos this year, or I'm going to run a marathon by November, or I'm going to get the 3 huge mural paintings out by September. I don't know. Like, I think it's we put such pressure on ourselves that in itself can feel overwhelming.
Yeah, it
And
adds to it.
yeah, so it's very important that, yes, have the big vision, the big goal, the big dream, and then you work back. So it could be, if it's a 5-year dream, say it is you want to buy a house. Let's say it's potential, it's realistic. Like, I love SMART goals. It's realistic and it's attainable in 5 years. And then you break it down. Well, what do I need to do each year, or how much money do I need to save each year to get that vision? And then it's like, well, so let's say we need, I'll just make it easy. Let's say we needed $100,000 in 5 years as a deposit for a house. Don't worry about the fact that property can go up and down, all that. It's not the why, or the timing isn't necessarily in your control, but as long as you've got something to work towards. So I need 100 grand in 5 years. Well, what's that? Well, that's 20 grand every year. What is that every month? 12 into 20, let's just say it's nearly 2 grand a month I have to do. What's that a week? Oh, well, that's $500 a week. So if I want 100 grand in 5 years, $500 a week has to go into my non-negotiable, non-spending account. Nothing can touch it. If I get a little bit of extra, but then the minute I start going $500 a week, well, now, is that reasonable? Is that attainable? Well, what if I sold a piece of art that brought me in $10,000? I'm going to chuck that in. So now the goal is getting closer, because now I've sped it up. Or I'll use that 10,000 for the next 5 months. That's so it's flexibility is the key to it. You don't want to be so fixated. A fixed mindset will never get you anywhere. A growth, or an open or a flexible mindset and adaptability will get you there. So it's breaking it right down into daily, weekly, or monthly chunks that will get you your big vision. And I think the overwhelm comes from, I just need $100,000, and that feels huge. So we just, as I said, eat an elephant one bite at a time. You also have to know that that goal is very aligned to your values, so that there is no interfering. There is nothing that's going to stop. So I had one lady that really did want to lose 20 kilos, and we used hypnotherapy and we did all sorts of things, and she wanted to look fabulous by her 50th. Well, leading up to her 50th, people were starting to take her out, and she dropped a couple of kilos. She could have so easily got to the weight she wanted, but she sabotaged it. And then I said to her, well, maybe instead of, and when we did our values, health was actually at number 7. Well, you ain't going to operate into health and wellness if it's at number 7. It's got to be in your top 3. And you don't just put it there because you want it to be there. You genuinely have to know. And how you'll know it's in the right place is, what would life be without it? And am I willing to do whatever it takes to hold on to it? So that's how strong values are. Now, some people would put nature into their top 5 values. Some would put freedom. Some might go as big as love and connection. Some might put my family. Some might put my business. And then people that put their business in their top 5, and a lot of artists, with respect, aren't so great at the business side of things. They're very right brain orientated. So sometimes it's very hard for artists to actually ask for or command or demand that they get paid what they're worth. And that is something that I work a lot with different very right brain people. It's honoring your worth and your value, and realizing that by not charging, or not charging as much as you should, also undervalues you and all the other artists out there who are trying to make a buck, who might be as good as you, but they're charging more. And now you charging less is making them look bad. So you got to remember, we're all part of a conglomerate that's raising the bar and worth of what it is, the time. And no one sees the time that you guys put into what you create. I've got no idea what it took you to draw that picture of me. I have no concept. I just saw the end product and went, wow. So to assume the hours, the time, the energy, the thought, the processing that goes into that, if it's not explained to the buyer, then they're potentially not going to value it in the way that if you said, yeah, whipped it up on a weekend. To me, I'd go, what, 10 hours work? Okay, well, 10 hours at $100 an hour, that's $1,000. But you're trying to charge me 10 grand? Come on. Or, so it's very much around valuing, or making sure the value is seen and it aligns with the purchases and or your values as well. And I think it's something that we all need to pay attention to, because we do often undersell us, or we become people pleasers, or we're just so excited to make a sale that we forget how much went into this. And I know that there's times where we will give it for less, and there's lead gens and there's awareness and gifting and promotional stuff that we all do. But never ever underestimate your worth. Your time and energy is highly valuable, and that needs to be expressed or accounted for in the work that you do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think I know a lot of artists don't value themselves and their time enough, because I know I was one of those people.
And yet, look how talented you are.
So, for people who don't know how to find their values, Kim, is there a process that you can suggest to find those?
Well, just even one day sit down there. Like, we can do business values, we can do life values, we can do relationship values, we can do family values. Like, just pick the top. Most people, I'd recommend start with your life values. What's really important to you? And so just put the heading, what's really important to me in the context of my life right now. Now, that's really important that you put in the context of my life right now. And in brackets underneath that, put where do I spend most of my time? So if you think health is one of your highest values, but in fact, you love scrolling on social media, the hour that you spent scrolling on social media, which means the value is not health, it's actually connection, maybe, or voyeurism, or just being relaxed, or I don't know, whatever the value is that makes you scroll for an hour, you've lost the potential. So you can't put health at the top if you're not putting any time into it. So it's not what you think you should be valuing, it's what you're actually valuing based on the context of your life right now, and in brackets, where you're spending your energy. So be really honest with yourself. And if you are spending 2 hours a day, and iPhones can tell you how much time you've spent on a phone, and you noticing 12 hours a week is on my phone. Now, some of you, it might be, well, a lot of that's emails and returning calls. So that's cool. But be honest with yourself. How much was it is just scrolling, mindful, playing games, not doing anything about your business? So, and then the other question I ask myself is, what's really important to me in the context of my life right now? Brackets, where do I spend most of my time? And if I'm still not sure, and how would I feel if I didn't have that in my life right now? So that's why they can be big virtues or values like love and connection, or they could be something as simple as I really value my car. Now, some people might go, you put a car as well. My car's in my values because I love my car. I work so hard for that car, and I love driving her, and I love taking her everywhere, and she's in the garage, and I clean her every week, and I feel so grateful that I get to go to my meetings and my talks and get to see my kids in Brisbane. So yeah, I value my car, and if I didn't have it, I'd be very disappointed. But that's more of an extrinsic value rather than an intrinsic value. So look at intrinsic and extrinsic values, because that too will help you. And you might want to do a list for both. Or you get a therapist to help you. Can you help me elicit my values? I really want to get in touch and make sure I'm aligned with that. And most NLP practitioners, cognitive behavioral therapists may help you with that. Hypnotherapists may help you with that. Yeah, it's a really beautiful process so that you stay aligned to what it is that you value the most. And if it is out of not context, if it's out of kilt, if it's, you're putting on weight, you're not sleeping very well, your digestive system's up the chute, then potentially your desire for socializing, which is in one of your top values, could be compromising what is in fact important for you to keep living a healthy, long, beautiful, fruitful life. So therefore you might turn around and go, actually, I am drinking 4 nights a week. We're spending a lot of money going out for dinners. I'm actually going to make a call here, and I'm going to say once, maybe twice a week. And then the money that I'm saving, those $250 that we're saving, not going out and having drinks and dinner, wow, there's 5 sessions a week with a PT. You know what I mean? Like it's incredible when you start to really be honest with yourself, and don't write down what you think you should value. Be honest with where you're spending your time. And for me, business is definitely in my top 3. Whereas when my kids were at home, it was in the top 5 or 6. Now it's definitely in top 3 because it's really important to me. And I love having a purpose and something to do now that my children aren't at home. So the values can shift and change without a doubt. But really think, what's really important to me in the context of my life right now, and in brackets, where am I spending my time, and then finishing it with, and how would I feel if I didn't have that in my life? And that's why you can have something like a car on there, or a house. Some people would put home more than house, but some people can't afford a house, so their home is still a really high value, even if they're renting it or they're staying with their parents. It's not a yeah, it's about getting out of the materialistic side of things and just looking at why that really matters to me,
Mm.
and then living your truth through it. And you may need a therapist to help you move values according to what your outcomes and goals are when it comes to that 5-year dream, or eating the elephant one bite at a time. Because most people go, oh, no, it didn't work, or I failed that, or hypnotherapy doesn't work. Well, no, it's not that hypnotherapy didn't work. It's just that your values have been misaligned to what the outcome was that you wanted.
Mm.
And that's where a good therapist will get the truth out of you.
Yeah, very true. And I can attest to that. It's worth it.
Sometimes we need help,
Yes, we do, and that's
I'm
okay.
yeah, and I wouldn't have run a marathon without a coach. I wouldn't have run for Australia and England without a coach. I needed help. I thought I knew what I needed to do. Even my PT now. So I said to you, I'm done. And she goes, you got 5 more. And I go, 5 more? If I was at home, I would never have done 5 more,
You would
even
have
though I'm a
given.
PT. Even though I know, I'd go, done it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why I love having the accountability.
That's beautiful, Kim. Now, in wrapping up, do you have, I guess, a belief about success, balance, or wellness that you've completely changed your mind about over the years?
Oh, I used to hear the words, life work balance, and I used to try and
Mm.
really live into that. It's BS. There's no such thing as life work balance. Sometimes life's going really well and work's tough. Sometimes work's going really well and home life's tough. There's no work life balance, in my opinion, anymore. Success, and now someone sent this quote to me the other day, which really appealed to me with the time of life I'm at. Success isn't about time or money or houses or how much you've got. It's knowing that your adult children want to spend time with you. And I looked at that and it kind of choked me a little bit, because that's success. If you've grown 2 adults that actually love spending time with you, and that does feel like success to me. Success is also, being named a finalist in a business award. That's an element of success. Some people only put success down to the money that they've got, or the homes or the cars that they drive. Some people would say, no, success to me is being someone's love of their life, and having, many people would potentially look at me and think, oh, they're really lucky because I have a beautiful husband. We've gone through lots of challenges. Um, today, for instance, is the anniversary of his sister's suicidal death 20 years ago today. And I look at that, and so life hasn't been easy for us. And certainly the way he was dropped from the New Zealand cricket team, and how we lost all our money in a financial deal that went completely wrong. I'm not saying it's all been a box of roses, but having someone that's got your back, many would say that's success. Having children that love you is a success. Having a place you can call home, whether it's yours or owned by someone else, is a level of success. Having a car, no matter what it is, that can get you from A to B, is success. So I think the pressure I used to put on myself to have successful business or successful family or successful body and health was actually disproportionate to what is really success to me. And because I've had these hard knocks, and all of us have, or I've been through moments that have really challenged my even reason for being, I realized that success has been getting through those and still showing up with a smile on my face, still wanting to give more, still knowing that there's more in this life to achieve and do. I think success is having the energy, the health, and the wellness to get up every day and do what it is that you're here to put on this planet to do. I think success is realizing that every single one of us has gifts that the world wants, craves, and needs from you. So stop hiding. Success is really important, that when you do a painting, or you do sell something, or you do give some of your work away and you're paid for that, that's success. Being able to buy foods from the markets is success. There are so many people out there. You don't have to look at Gaza to know that these people are struggling even to get water.
Mm.
So who the hell are you to complain that you're 5 kilos overweight, or you didn't sell the painting for what it was worth, or these people have got way bigger problems. And I
Mm.
think sometimes the realistic approach to what we are doing well, what we have got in our world, I would mark that as success.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Kim, and for sharing and your advice. And it's just been an absolute pleasure having you on and to chat.
Oh, such a pleasure, my love. And I hope there's been some little nuggets in there for someone along the way. And I just want to thank you for putting yourself out there, because the people listening to this needed someone to go first. And I just want to congratulate you for doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. I credit you with that, for that, Kim, with the first podcast we did there.
Well, that was show
I was like,
304 on the Self Love podcast. So if any of your listeners are not sick of us now, they could go and listen to me interview you on show 304 of the Self Love podcast. And that
and
was a beautiful interview.
it was. I really enjoyed that, and it made me see what was possible, which I think every time I talk to you, you inspire me to be that better version of myself, which I so appreciate. Yeah, where can people find you, Kim?
I have a personal website, kimmorrison.com, and on there is my socials. You can follow it's a little bit more personal on there. And then I have my beautiful business, Twenty8.com, the word 20 and the number 8.com. And of course, they've got socials. And then I've got a business with my family called Blackcurrant Performance, which is all a beautiful food supplement to perform better and recover faster. And that's blackcurrantperformance.com. So everything is in there. And even if you just Googled Kim Morrison, I think I might come up in your feed, but if not, just look.
I'll link them all in the show notes anyway.
Yeah, I hope that helps anyway. I'd love to talk to your beautiful crew and the people that follow you. I love artists. I think they're almost the unsung heroes. They give us such joy and pleasure, but we never really fully take time to appreciate what it's taken for them to get there and how much grit is required to sell something like that, because for many of you, I imagine they're seen as luxury items. And that must be challenging sometimes, particularly in the times we've been through. So, yeah, keep doing it. We need you.
Thank you for joining us on the Trailblazers Palette podcast. We appreciate your support. Don't forget to subscribe and share if you enjoyed the episode. Stay tuned for more inspiring conversations with incredible guests. Keep blazing your trail, and until next time, stay inspired. This is Sancha, your host, signing off. See you soon, Trailblazers.